Thank you for tuning in and welcome back to the Sounds of Coherency. So let's just go ahead and jump right into this. Recently, Senator John Kennedy proposed a new bill for increasing the sentencing for fentanyl dealers. Now we've talked about that before. The severity of what this drug has been having on the severity of the problem that the United States has been having with the influx of this drug coming from the southern borders. Um, and as I've said before, this is clearly an obvious attack on the United States, and I believe that those politicians that allow the border to remain as open as it is to allow these things to flood in to the United States are really complicit in this problem. We know the Chinese cartels are partnered with the Mexican cartels in order to import the shit to Mexico, to produce it, to send it to the United States. And nothing's being done about it. So let's just go ahead and jump right into this and see what Senator Kennedy is proposing. Let's just hear what he has to say about it because Senator Cory Booker does come back with a response in his attempt to block said bill. And, he tries it with the crocodile tears. But in response to what Kennedy said, he tries to move the goalposts, completely missing the point. So let's just go ahead and jump right into this.
A distasteful subject to me. I get angry whenever I think about it. Fentanyl dealers. I hope there's a special place in hell for them. Fentanyl dealers. Today is National Fentanyl Awareness Day. Last year, or actually in 2021, fentanyl killed 71,000 Americans. If you break down these sterile statistics, you'll see that somebody in our country dies from fentanyl poisoning every 7 seconds. There ought to be a special place in hell for fentanyl dealers. And these aren't just sterile statistics, Mr. President. These are real people. And they have real families whose lives are torn apart. A lot of these deaths occur among young people. Fentanyl is now the leading cause of death for Americans who are 18 to 49. From 2020 to 2021, fentanyl deaths in our country increased by 24%. It was even more among young people. What you allow is what will continue. And today, this body, the United States Congress, allows fentanyl dealers to carry on their person, if they would like to, enough fentanyl to kill 20,000 Americans before they face a mandatory 5-year minimum sentence if they're caught. Until these fentanyl dealers have to deal themselves with real consequences, I think the carnage is going to continue. I have a bill. It's called the Fairness in Fentanyl Sentencing Act of 2023. And it will change what I just talked about drastically. It will reduce the amount of fentanyl that a fentanyl dealer has to possess before facing the mandatory minimum 5 years of prison. Now, Mr. President, I know you know this, but when you're dealing with fentanyl, the amounts really matter. Fentanyl is 50 times more potent than heroin. not 5, not 15, 50 times more potent. It takes only 2 milligrams to kill you. Here's a pencil. Here's the point of a pencil. The amount of fentanyl you can put on the point of a pencil will kill you. Let me say that again. The amount of fentanyl that you can put on the point of a pencil will kill you. Today, fentanyl dealers can carry up to 40 grams of fentanyl before they face the mandatory minimum 5 years of prison.
I mean, that's really mind-blowing when you think about it. If you think about the severity of the penalties for crack, and especially in shit like that, I mean, considering that this really is a problem, it makes you wonder that whilst the Democrats had full control, why they never did anything to help stop the flow of this. It's not like they weren't aware of this. They know this is going on because they came out and said things about it. But it really just does seem as if they are attempting to, protect these people. So we're gonna just jump a little bit further into this because it's like a half hour, so we don't want to go like too long.
How much damage can be done with just a little bit of fentanyl? For example, fentanyl dealers face the 5-year mandatory minimum sentence if they had 5 grams of amphetamine. Here's my chart here. To get a minimum of 5 years in prison, you have to have just 5 grams of methamphetamine. But you have to have 40 grams of fentanyl, which is 50 times more powerful than heroin.
But hey, I guess it doesn't matter because apparently look, this is just a speculation. I'm not trying to say that they are. I don't have any proof to the such, but I mean, it just almost looks as if like some of these politicians themselves are getting kickbacks from the cartels themselves. I don't know. I mean, maybe it's just me. I mean, and I'm not saying that's what's happening, but if you were to tell me that that really is something that was happening, for some reason, I don't think I would be too surprised by that fact. So, hey, call me crazy. Let's go ahead and jump to this next part.
And every one of them has a family. Now, while our families and our kids are suffering, the cartels and the drug dealers who help them in America are getting rich. There was a recent report from the Department of Justice, Mr. President. It stated that fentanyl dealing is one of the Sinaloa cartel's most lucrative endeavors. That cartel is led by 3 of El Chapo's sons. We're not talking choir boys here. They have made a boatload of money selling poison to our children. But it's not just them. It's dealers in the United States as well. Our Customs and Border Protection officers are working as hard as they can to stop drugs from coming into this country. But their hands are tied by our bad policies.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm not going to say it's just Democrats. I thoroughly believe that there's quite a few Republicans that really do fall into line with these, Democrats. So I guess we would call them rhinos, Republican in name only. But let's listen to Cory Booker because we have to listen to the response from the other side. We cannot be one-sided. We have to be, well, unlike even Fox, fair and balanced.
There is no correlation, not one study, nothing shows that higher and higher rates, higher and higher sentencing relates in any way to safer and safer communities. And I have looked for that data. The Department of Justice itself, the folks who are prosecuting people for drugs, their own report from the National Institute of Justice says more severe punishments do not chasten individuals convicted of these crimes. It has no correlation at all. And yet, as my colleagues pointed out, every 7 seconds someone is dying. And so the question is what will make the difference? My colleague, if you follow the evidence that you so passionately talked about on this day, National Fentanyl Awareness Day, the things that we know are actually driving down the deaths are treating this issue like a national health crisis. Yes, we need law enforcement. Yes, we need to stop this fentanyl coming into our country. Yes, the law enforcement needs all the tools. I support them. I will fight for them. I will continue to invest in them. But what's lacking to save lives is the kind of healthcare access that we need: drug treatment, awareness, public health interventions. We know those work, but yet we don't have the resources in communities to do them.
I'm gonna go ahead and stop it right there, because you can see what I'm saying with the attempt at the fake tears. And the thing is that he's lying, because one, he was part of the whole defund the police. He does not support more police. Don't let him lie to you. For those of you out there who are Republicans and might have a soft heart, he's lying. He does not mean that shit. But the thing is that the areas where these things are taken, where you have the higher concentrations of these happening, it is happening across America in all types of tax brackets, okay? But you do have this happening in very urban, low-income areas. And these are primarily in areas where you do have a lot of Democrat leaders. And the thing is that they've had the money over and over again for decades to do something about it. The problem is that they spend the money on creating programs, creating new ways to do this, think tank groups, and all this other kind of shit. And the money never makes its way to where it's supposed to go. That's always, if you look at the spending of how your local community and your city councils spend the funds, the taxpayer dollars that they receive, you will find that they do not spend it on the things that they tell you change must happen in. And that's an absolute reality. So Cory Booker is really out of his mind, especially with the crocodile tears. And he spends more time focused on the people that are using. Yeah, you do need to have more treatment. That is a reality. But that doesn't mean that we should not create a way to find incentives to, I don't know, stop people from feeling like they can continue to move the poison like that. Because the reality is that we need higher penalties for the people bringing it in. If they catching them, those that are bringing it across, we have to find a way to stem the flow of this import of it, I guess, And yeah, maybe if the Democrats actually put the money into the programs that they spoke of, saying needed to be done and utilized to make communities better, then odds are the people that are on the lower level selling it would not feel apt to need to sell it. They're going to keep continuing to try to sell it even when they get caught. Why? Because there's no incentives in their communities for them to learn to do better. And I mean, at the same time, I guess easy money coming in large quantities is great, but maybe if they had some more education, they would think to invest that money into something so that they, I don't know, could get out of that very quickly. But at the same time, we're not trying to justify what they're doing, okay? Because the point is, yes, it's still killing thousands upon thousands upon thousands of people, and something needs to be done. So, again, let me make sure I got that clear for you. I'm not trying to justify them doing what they're doing. Oh my gosh. But you get the point. But, we'll see what comes of this. We'll see if any type of measure can be put in place that will help stifle the flow of it into the United States. So, maybe we can focus more on what's happening on the local level if we can get the federal level to do its damn job at the border. But here's hoping. But I thank you for tuning in, and we'll catch you next time.